There's obviously pros and cons of doing boxing. So,
Callum Durston, welcome to the show.
thank you very much.
I'm happy to have you. So, you said to me in private that you've been boxing ever since the age of 6 years old and it's been a very integral part of your life. How has boxing shaped your life as a whole if you've been doing it for so long at a young age?
First of all, into boxing because my dad always thought it'd help me in the school life. Whereas if in case you get bullied on or picked on, it was just to learn the basics of self-defense. But then as I was going boxing more, I became fastly addicted to it and wanting to learn more and more. So then now it's came to the point where I have to go to boxing because it's now just a part of my daily routine. It's I think it's really good.
Would you say that you were gifted a healthy addiction? Because you know some people will get into, like, we all know the destructive addictions like drinking, drugs, and all that stuff. I think would it be fair to say in your case you were gifted a healthy one? So with boxing, like you said, you learned self-defense as a part of your routine, and there's a massive component in your health as well.
I would say there's obviously pros and cons of doing boxing. So if you're doing it just to stay healthy and learn self-defense, absolutely really good for you. Like you learn how to self-defend yourself in case of anything that happens that's not in your control. But then it also comes with cons of people coming right saying, "Oh, I can fight you. Will you fight me? You're a boxer." And then obviously the advantage is you do not have to box, but you're trained to hit people and punch people. So then you got to be careful of what you do, really.
I guess in your case, you're kind of asking for trouble in a weird way because, like you said, that people coming up to you thinking, "Oh, I can take this guy on. I know how to box as well." I was like, A, can you? And B, is it really a good idea to get into a fist fight in the street?
No, exactly. Like, I'm one of the people who always try to avoid fighting at the ring. I'm all up for it. Like, it's just my job to do it. You don't think anything of it. It's just there. You have to go in there. You got to do it. But then when you're outside of the ring and someone tries to start a fight on you, I just don't want to do it. I want to get away from them as fast as I can.
What would you say? Because you said that you prefer to box in the ring. What is it about being in the ring that makes you prefer actually boxing as opposed to doing it on the streets? Because yeah, obviously people come up, like we said, people come up, they want to fight you. But is it more of a controlled environment? So if something goes wrong, it's more, there are systems in place and regulations where you can actually help if something goes wrong, as opposed to in the street, you might get knocked from the cops.
Yeah, I think you've got that spot on, to be fair. I would rather do it in the ring because, one, you're protected wearing gloves and you've got the gum shield and you've got the head guard on if you need it. And then, two, if you're outside the ring doing boxing, God knows what could happen. You could break your arm, you could break anything. You could easily like get some sort of brain damage. Like you never know what the other guy's going to be holding on him these days. You would rather do it in somewhere where you know it's safe and controlled, and you got nurses and doctors ready to go, than unsupervised just in a random place outside.
So what made you transition from doing it initially as self-defense and to help you against the bullies to go into it professionally? Because I've seen some of your fights on social media last night. One was against Kieran Shepherd and the other one was Zy Barker. Those were the two I seen. So what made you decide, I want to go and actually be a proper boxer now and not just do it to keep all the bad guys, well, in your case, keep some of the bad guys away?
So I had my first, let's say, competition, like little exhibition match, which is basically you're just going there to get experience. I was like 12, and that was a K1 fight, which is actually kickboxing and with like elbows and kicks. And then I actually thrived in that, and I just seen how proud my dad was. So then I took that and I set myself a goal, and I was like, I'm going to become good at this. I'm going to actually put dedication into this. So then a couple years later, I have my first boxing match, which I lose, unfortunately. But then I go again literally a couple weeks later, and then I win, and I see how happy my dad is. And he is crying with happy tears. And just the adrenaline and everything of when you win, it's more, you'll feel so much better than you ever will when you take drugs, I think. It's just the adrenaline and the dopamine, you feel amazing.
With you wanting to become a champion, what kind of champion? Because there's different weight classes, isn't there? I'm not I didn't have a chance to familiarize myself last night, but it was, or just before this, but there's lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. Is that any other kinds of weights as well?
Yes, so there's welterweight, heavyweight, light heavyweight. It's say I'm 68 to 70 kilos now, right? Sitting around. There's literally there should be a weight category for every 2 to 3 kilos going up or a bit more. But then when you get to heavyweight, which is I think over a certain number of 100 kilos, you get just heavyweight. That's it. So you can be as heavy as you want.
So at that point, you could just be basically Boogie 298 size, and then you could just go.
Yeah.
I know that guy did box, and I'm just thinking, I don't know whether I want to be boxing at his weight with all that stomach fat, but that's just me. What class are you in then? Because you're 65 to 68 kilos.
Yeah, so I am now sitting around 145 pounds, 150 pounds near enough, which I'm pretty sure is middleweight right now. Well, that's what I do box at. And I can tell you some of the famous people that box now that are in around my weight. So we had on the lighter end, when I was a bit lighter, around 60, 58, we had Floyd Mayweather. We had Manny Pacquiao. You might know him. He's a Philippines boxer. But as of right now, we have Ryan Garcia, who's quite good. You might have seen his name pop around sometimes.
I've heard it, but I'm not really big on boxing champions, to be honest.
I think my weight class right now is probably the best there is in boxing, in or around that.
Why do you say that? That's quite a bold claim, to be honest. To be under 70 kilo and you're in the better weight class.
I just think in actual pro boxing right now, there's just not many exciting fighters in the other ones. Of course, you got Dimitri Bivol, who's a lot is in he's like 85 kilos, 80ish. He's in cruiserweight, I'm pretty sure. With Biv, he fought recently Canelo Alvarez, which beat him, and then he fought he fought Berbatev, which he beat. He lost on the first time, which he should have won, I think personally. But it's just I don't think there's really many standout fighters all over the same like weight division. Whereas in and around my weight division, you've got at least like 5 or 6 names that are well known boxing.
I suppose because I've
So I
seen your.
think I just
Sorry to interrupt, but I did see some of your fights, and I think with your weight class, you guys can be a lot more nimbler as opposed to if you're heavyweight. You're essentially a tank at that point, aren't you? So let's say, yeah, you're big, strong, muscular, but you're 110 kilograms going up against 112. Unless you've got some, because I know there's this rare gene called the Hercules gene, where basically you grow muscle really fast. And that's just like equivalent to that, but for like your footwork. You're basically tanks, but in your case, you guys can just zip around the field. Who was that? I think it was that boxer who, his name, who is so, well, part of it is because he went into did some dancing, but another part of it is because he's in the lower weight class. He's basically zipping around like a wasp.
Oh, Alexander Usyk.
I can't
Right
remember
now,
the
there
name.
was a guy
I go into
who is
go on.
he was never a heavyweight. He was in a couple weight divisions lower, and he had really good footwork. He was dominating the weight class division, and now he went up to heavyweight recently, and he beat the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, just beat Daniel Dubois. He's basically taken over the whole of the division because he's just so good. I think he probably will be one of the best ever.
So where are you currently at in your boxing career? If you want to be a champion, how far in the grand scheme of things do you have to go? Because I think it's fair to say you're fighting locally and in around Bridgewater, because I've seen you fight up in Bristol.
Yeah, so I have fought in quite a few locations in my time. I've fought in Exeter, Bristol. I don't know where it was. I think it was Swindon. I've been all the way past Bristol, a bit further down the M5. But right now, I think all it is for me is just gaining that extra bit more experience for if I do go professional, to just get out there and actually know what I'm dealing with. Because if I go in the professional now, I will be underexperienced and probably not good enough.
Well, then at that point, you're also fighting up against people who've been doing this professionally for a much longer time, and you'd be either be put nicely the noob coming into the ring, and you're up against someone who might have had what's like 10 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, and then you've just come in and say, "Hi guys, it's my turn now." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would rather lose in my boxing now than when I do when I'm professional. So I'd rather get all the experience, all the fights out the way now, and then when I go professional, not lose and win more.
How would you describe your own boxing style?
I would say I like to fight on the back foot, realistically, so which means I box and move, go and move around. I used to be a counter puncher, so I wait and then I wait see an opening, then I punch them. But I would just say I'm pretty much a standard boxer. I've been working on my aggression. I'm pretty good at all round mostly. I just do whatever I need to work on in the ring and I work on that for the fight and whatever I need to do to win the fight, I do. I either be aggressive, I go on the back foot, I take my time, or I do what I have to do to win.
Within reason, obviously, because I didn't find this out till yesterday. There's some shots you're not allowed. One of them which shocked me was a kidney shot, and I seen the famous guy who did it again. That name's gone out the window. It's something George Floyman, something along those lines.
George Foreman.
Foreman, thank you. This is going to be a good question. What's it like to actually be in the ring versus watching it? Because I used to do kickboxing in the back garden with my old housemate, and I bring this up because the one thing I learned from that was it's a lot easier to be on the sidelines, to criticize whoever's actually doing the sport. So in your case, boxing, we could insert footballer, race car driver, etc., etc. It's a lot easier to go, they should do this, they should do this, they should do this. But if you're actually in the moment, is a lot harder. But I've got this term called spectator's glory, where it's a lot it's a lot nicer for those watching than those in it. Like we all hear about the fictional fantasy stories or real life stories like Luke Skywalker, Dale Carnegie, just people for the sake of argument. But I think it's nice for us because we're watching it. I don't think it's so much nice for them who's actually living in the moment. We're just reading about what they've gone through.
Yeah, so I think what I've had in my personal experience is, say, my last fight in Bridgewater, I was main event fighting for the Southwest title. So mostly the people who were spectating are obviously drunk. So, and most of them, being respectful, don't have a clue of what's going on. So like they could be saying, "Oh, I need to throw a jab, I need to throw a punch," but they don't see what the game plan is, and they don't actually see what's happening because they're not in the ring looking and feeling what's going on. Whereas if you're in the ring, you've got yourself, you've got your coaches in your corner, and you've been through a game plan telling you what to do. So like, say I've been told to wait for him to punch and make him miss and then come back with a counter. Whereas if I've been told to do that and then someone who's spectating there's going, "Oh, you got to throw, you can't wait." That's what I mean. They don't know what you've been told to do. I mean, it also goes the same with the judges. They're closer to the ring than anyone, realistically. They're literally basically right next to the ring. So they can see what's happening. They will see that he's actually just missing you. Whereas if you're standing back watching it from afar, it might look like he's actually hitting me, basically, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, it's a perception, isn't it? So for me, if I was to ever turn up to one of your boxing matches, and hopefully one day, because you are local, it's going to be very different for me, because I was like, oh, someone just hit Callum in the face, although I'm at the very back, as opposed to if I'm at the very front. It's like, oh no, you've missed. And it's also, as you're saying that, so that your game plan might be counter-attack the guy, but then you don't know your opponent's game plan at the same time. It could be, funny enough, the same, or it could be different where, yeah, attack him, but go for the ribs. So yeah, you can counter-attack that. Like you can just from speaking from experience, you could go for the head because they have to duck low. But you wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that. And I have a lot more respect and sympathy. So I have a lot of respect for people who are willing to go and do those kind of sports. And I have a lot more sympathy because it's a lot, like I already said, I don't know what's going through your head and I don't know what's going through your point of view at that moment in time. I can only just sit back and go, right, so Callum's doing this, this, and this. See what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So, but speaking back to game plans, in my other fight, I had to change my fight plan 3 times, my strategy. So I was going out there just boxing normally. It was working. I won the first 2 rounds, and then the third round, he came out trying to rough me up, which made him win the round because I wasn't expecting that. And then the fourth and fifth round, I was just in there. I had to change my game plan again to walking him down with my hands up, moving out the way of the shots, and then just digging him in and then getting out the way, which then made me win the fight. It's all about strategy and how you adapt to it when you're actually in the ring.
Of adaptability, how much of boxing is about the actual boxing as opposed to the all the stuff outside? Because that's one of the things I've not just learned from doing the podcast, but from talking to other people in their own industries, where we all see the things that we all see are everything that's led up to the event. So you take a singer, you watch her performance, but you don't see the background work for it. Same with an artist, you see their final piece, but you don't see all the hours that they've had to do to get good at painting and plan the drawing and this and the other. Same as podcasts. I mean, people at home will go watch this and say, well, it's nice you got a box on. It's like, yeah, but at the same time I've got to invite you on, or in your case you ask to come on, but not 9 times out of 10 invite people on, prepare for the interview, record the interview, then do all the post-production work. So in that regard, how much of it is leading up to the actual boxing event, and how much in everything you do in the event as opposed to everything else that comes before and after?
So take this though. For my last fight, I trained basically 3 months non-stop every day. So from Monday to Friday, I was doing gym, boxing, and from Monday to Friday, plus sprints and 5K, 6Ks each week. And then, so that's basically 3 months of your life of just dedication. And then when you get to the boxing, it's literally just 10, 5, 10, 15 minutes. So a whole 3 months of training just for a little mess around, basically.
And what were you doing there? Was it 5 rounds of 2 minutes, 3 rounds of 5 minutes? What kind of match was it in this context?
It was 5 2-minute rounds.
Eesh.
But then in that fight, it was when we were having that heat wave. So it was 28 degrees outside. And by the fourth round, my left eye was all blurry. I couldn't see anything out of it. So then by the time after the fight, my head was killing. I couldn't see anything. So like you got to think 3 months of work for a little 5 round fight, and then the damage that you take from because you're bound to get hit in a fight. There's no chance you're not going to get hit. So that's where it comes back to you get your pros and your cons realistically. Like I was literally sat in the showers after the fight with ice packs all over me, just trying to cool down.
I guess that's the price you pay. And what was because the price you pay to become a championship boxer? Are you worried about any long-term injuries? Because you hear the horror stories from American footballers where they've got their concussions are so bad they sustain. Off the top of my head, is Alzheimer's, dementia early on in their lives just because they've had such brutal head injuries. Are you worried you'll suffer from something like that? Because like you're saying, the fourth round, you can't see out one eye, so you're better off with an eye patch. And then you're in the shell for ice packs to just try and mitigate some of the damage you've taken from the fight.
Well, I just think it's part of the game anyway. And if you're doing something you love, like it's life, you get one chance at it. I would rather be doing something that I love now than not do something that I've always wanted to do. Like there's Parkinson's disease. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's what Muhammad Ali had. So he had Parkinson's or whatever from it, and he was just he paid the price in the end, but he's gone down as an all-time great of the sport. And then obviously you get the occasional deaths, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, I find these days with sports are so strict on health and safety to the point where the deaths are kind of it's not. They'll still happen, but they're not going to be as frequent as they used to be, say, 20 years. I mean, a great example is with Formula One with those halo rings, which I question how drivers can see around that without somewhat losing their mind because you've got a pillar right in front of you. But at the same time, it's good example of, well, if something happens, then the change gets implemented. So let's say something was to happen, or hopefully, touch a word, not your boxing matches, but let's say another boxing match, someone unfortunately dies, and then they'll just bring in stuff to stop that from happening again. So I guess in that regard, you going after it now is a lot better from a survivability standpoint to say if you were to do this 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think, like you said there, some things have got to happen to help for the better of the sport in the furthermore future. So they know what they have to change to make sure people are safe. So yeah, you are right. I would rather be doing boxing now than earlier.
What advice would you give to someone who's up and coming in the boxing world? Because you're kind of at that stage now. So one of my heroes, Alex Rosie, says, don't take advice from those who are where you want to be. Take advice from someone where they're just like a couple stages ahead of you. And I think it's fair to say you're in that where you're a couple of stages ahead. You're not at championship level, but you're at a point where you've had a few fights, you've had your wins and losses, but you've got the experience where you can tell someone who's just starting out. So what would you say to those?
I would say just enjoy the ride, take it as it comes, and you don't lose, you learn from your fights. For now, that's literally quick and easy. What I would say to them.
By what you learn more from your fights.
So, whereas when you lose in your fights, you can spot out in the videos what you did wrong, where you went wrong. Whereas if you win, you're going to be a bit biased yourself, saying, "Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, everything's beautiful." Like you actually learn. I think I actually see what I did wrong, and where I can improve, which is where you work on it in the gym.
What is a typical day in the life of a boxer? We've talked about this briefly, where you were up to your fight. It was 3 months of gym, sprints, training. But in terms of prep, what was your typical day in the life? I think we've kind of jumped the gun a bit, but I do think it's worth addressing because not everyone would know. I personally wouldn't know if I was a professional boxer where I get up, I do this, this, and this. I'm just saying you get up, you train, and then you go fight in the ring. But
So about, let's say, 3 weeks before my fight, let's just say this is when it is. I'll tell you what I'll be doing. So say start of the week, Monday, I would get up, I would go for a quick 2, 3, 4K run in the morning, go home, shower, get the right foods in, obviously get the correct foods in, get the protein, get your carbs in, just to stay hyped, just to get all the energy back for your session in the afternoon. Then I go to the gym to obviously do PTs, do what I have to do, work, and then by 4 o'clock I'm getting ready to go to the gym to actually train myself, which is I work on with my dad. We just do explosiveness. And then after gym, go straight to boxing, roughly for like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and just work on everything. It can either be fitness, it can either be working on your technique, your control, or just footwork, literally anything that we need to do. And then go home, rest, and repeat.
Monday to Friday, what do you do on the weekends then, coming up to your fight? Because you've got that 2-day block where you haven't said what you're doing. So are you resting, are you recovering, or are you just taking a bit lighter where you're still training but you're not going as intense so you can come back Monday a bit with more energy?
Saturday and Sundays, I generally like to rest and take time to myself. So I could involve going out with my girlfriend, like spending time with the family. It could involve me going out playing golf, doing some other sports that I like. Or if I'm really, really motivated, I'll go for a run, or I'll go down to the boxing gym and hit the bag for a couple of rounds. But it's mainly about enjoying yourself and having time to yourself and doing stuff that you actually want to do, which I think is very important.
I also think it's kind of underrated because I know everyone these days are banging on about, oh, you must rest, you must recover, this and the other. But I found it personally with running this podcast where I'm the kind of guy who work themselves to the bone to the point where my mind's going, please stop. Please stop doing all this. You need 5 minutes to yourself. And I think, can you relate to that where you get to, in your case, you get to Friday, your body's like, I'm ready to throw in the white flag now because I'm just so done with all of this?
So it usually depends on how my week's gone. If I know I've put 100% into everything and I've had a good session every day, I will be happy and I will rest. But if I know I could have done that extra bit more in a session, that's when I would go to the gym and do stuff. But so I just think all just depends on how my week goes. Preference on the preference, to be fair. But that's just me trying to make sure I'm the best I can be for the fight, I think.
Would you say they're your own worst critic? Like I definitely am, but in your case, the way you answered that was it came across more opinionated. So if I feel I've given 100%, then I'll rest. But if I don't, then I'll hit the gym. It just sounds like your own judge, jury, and executor. Except in your case, it's not judge, jury, executors, judge, jury, trainer.
Yes, that was one of my worst things. My dad always says to me, has always said to me, it's my own confidence in doing that always usually lets me down. But it's got a lot better now because I make sure that I do well in the gym. So then my mind's completely free. Whereas if I don't, like I said, my mind's worrying, oh, I need to train, I need to train. I'm not going to go out, I need to train. So I just think, even though I'm my own critique of myself, I still think it does better for me in the long term.
Who would you say your biggest rival is? Like the opponent you really struggle against, the one you go, I really like beating you for whatever reason.
Right now, I would say it's that Zay Barker because in my fight against him, everyone, if you looked at the comments in my video, everyone said I won. Everyone said I should have won. I knew I should have won. And in that fight, he was chatting a lot of crap to my mates throughout the rounds, and I wholeheartedly believe I won that. I'm pretty sure I think everyone did. I had messages over the weekend after it saying that I should have won, and now after that, I just want to, when I fight him next, just go in there and absolutely put him to the ground.
What one round knockout to be like, right, serves you right.
Exactly. First round knockout, one punch, bam, over.
Have you ever had that where you've won by a knockout, not just in the first round, but
Yeah, I've had that. It was against a schoolboy champion. So that's like a amateurs. So we were down fighting, and basically I just made him quit. It wasn't a knockout, but I just stopped him in the first round.
how do you make someone quit in a boxing match? You just go, nah, I've had enough now.
Basically, I was hitting him against the ropes, and I guess he just had enough and started crying. And then the ref stopped it.
Sorry, he cried in a boxing match. You think if I went in there, that's the last thing I'd do because you expect to get hit. Yeah, obviously you don't want to, but it comes with it. It's not, oh no, I'm upset that someone kicked the ball past me in football. Well, no duh, you're playing football. You know where I'm going with this. It seems a bit ridiculous.
I don't know, to be fair, but all I cared about was me winning that fight. So I did my job basically. So
Yeah, I guess you got the easy win out of that one. So, what upcoming fights can we expect to see you in?
okay, so we got the rematch against that Zay in November,
Ooh, this
which will
episode will
be
be
a
out after November, so I will be interested to see. Well, during November-ish, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Is that for the title as well? So you competing for the?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks for going to be up then.
And then I'm thinking of fighting. Well, my coaches have asked me to fight next month, so the end of August, early September. So hopefully I can just get involved there and I want to keep taking over realistically. I want to keep adding the experience and just keeping fit so I'm ready.
If you've got matches at the end of August and then you've got the rematch in November, how often are you competing? I thought the way it sounded, it sounded almost as if you're doing it regularly, but is it sporadically or is it just whenever a fight comes up?
I think it also depends on how fit you are and if you're actually wanting to go to fight. Like you can fight as many times as you want, but as long as you actually get a fight, you can fight whenever there's an opportunity. Say there's competitions coming up, like box cups or anything like that, or tournaments or just fights. You're there. If you're in the weight category and you got the same amount of experience, and if both coaches want to match you, you can fight.
All right, last question. Who do you want to fight against in the ring? Could be anyone you like. But the only caveat is they've got to be actually boxing at the moment, so it can't be a retiree.
I know I'd lose, but I want to fight Javante Davies. Javante Davies, he is a really, really good boxer, professional, really good. But I'd love to see myself in there with him.
Even if you lose round one, knockout, it'd be like, I got to fight him, so yeah, off the bucket list.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Okay, all right. Jake Paul. There we go. Jake's won.
So Logan Paul there. Callum Durston, everyone. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and keep up to date with your
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I just want to say thank you to being on this podcast. It is much appreciated.
If you enjoyed watching this episode with Callum Durston, and if you want to listen to more sports content, then I have Jesse Iwuji of NASCAR and Ed McDermott of GT4 Racing either side of me.